Alright everyone, so Boruto chapter 80 has officially been released and I'm here to give you guys my thoughts, and there is a lot, and I mean a lot, for us to go over when it comes to this chapter. We have Sarada awakening her Mangekyo Sharingan, we have confirmation that Sarada and Sumire are the only ones who were unaffected by Eida's Shinjutsu, and we now have Boruto and Sasuke leaving the village, as a lot of people predicted were going to happen. A lot of people were hoping that it was going to happen, that Sasuke would take Boruto and leave the village and go on a training journey, although I'm willing to bet a lot of them did not think that it was going to happen this way. So there is definitely a lot for us to go over now. Some of the things that happen in this chapter, I'm not going to go into too much detail about them here in this review, because if I do, then I'm afraid it's going to make this video way longer than I want it to be. So instead, I'm going to make a dedicated video for some of the things that happened in this chapter, one of them being Sarada awakening her Mangekyo Sharingan. I've got some things I want to say about that, but I'm going to save that for its own dedicated video, because again, I don't want to make this video any longer than it needs to be. So let's go ahead and get into this chapter, and of course I will give you guys my thoughts as we recap the events of Boruto chapter 80. The chapter starts off with Shikamaru asking Eida to confirm that Naruto was indeed killed, and when this happens, when Shikamaru asks her, we see this moment where Kawaki basically threatens Eida, and we see Eida have this look in her face, almost like she's starting to realize that maybe Kawaki isn't the person that she thought he was going to be, or at the very least she's starting to find out about... At the very least, she's finding out things about him that she's not really all that fond of. And he basically threatens her to confirm that yes, Naruto is indeed dead, even though we all know he's actually not dead. And when this happens, we see Mitsuki basically telling Sarada that she needs to let go, and he is going to go after Boruto. Sarada, of course, is trying to convince him not to do this because she knows that there's something wrong here. And when she's doing this, we get Shikamaru talking to them, telling them that there is a strong possibility that Naruto is dead. So Shikamaru is not 100% convinced that Eida is telling him the truth, because he doesn't say that Naruto is dead. He says that there's a strong possibility that Naruto is dead at Boruto's hands. So could this possibly be Shikamaru questioning, just like what we see Sasuke do later on, his own memories about what actually is happening? Because we know Shikamaru is not stupid. We know that Shikamaru is going to notice things, just like we see Sasuke do later on in this chapter, that there are some things that don't add up here. Why do I remember things about Kawaki that don't line up with what I'm seeing right now? Like, why does Kawaki not have Sasuke's headband even though he knows Boruto has it? Or he knows Kawaki, according to their memories, is supposed to have it. Why does Kawaki not have a scar over his eye? Why does Kawaki not act like Boruto is supposed to be? Why does he not act like he remembers him acting like? So Shikamaru is indeed questioning, and there is a possibility that we are going to see Shikamaru at some point figure out that there's something going on, at least him being one of the first ones to figure out that there's something going on here, that Eida possibly did something. That's just what I'm getting from this sentence, just this one statement from Shikamaru. We then see Sumire, and after she gets this announcement from Shikamaru, she knows that there's something wrong, and she remembers the aura of chakra that was going around the sky, and she immediately starts to put the pieces together. And I really like this moment because it's showing you that Sumire is a lot smarter than I think a lot of people give her credit for. She was able to almost immediately put the pieces together and realize that what happened with that flash of chakra that we saw earlier, Eida had to have something to do with that. And then we see Sarada collapsing from the news, and she's wondering what exactly is going on here. And we see Kawaki, and we see this conversation between, and we see Eida questioning Kawaki whether or not it was really necessary to take it this far, to make it to where people are hunting Boruto, making them think that Boruto killed his own father. And Kawaki right now is just, he's showing us how far gone he's he's showing us just how far gone he actually is, because he says that at least now he is Konoha's #1 enemy, and that he's no longer welcome in his own home, and that because of this no one will get in his way in order to accomplish his goal of killing Boruto, because killing Boruto would mean killing Momoshiki, which would mean getting rid of a threat to Naruto, which that is his ultimate goal at the end of the day, is to protect Naruto no matter what, so much so that he's willing to make Boruto hated by his own people. He made Boruto unwelcome in his own home, and he made his friends think that he murdered his own father. So yeah, Kawaki is really far gone. And then we see something very interesting. We actually get a look inside the Daikokunin dimension. We've never seen it before, but we do actually get a look inside of it. And we see that Naruto and Hinata are asleep in the Daikokunin dimension. So if you were one of the people who were theorizing that maybe Naruto and Hinata could spend their time training in the Daikokunin dimension so that when they do eventually get let out by Kawaki, or maybe someone figures out a way into the Daikokunin dimension and tries to get them out, it seems like that might not actually end up happening. And I know a lot of people are probably going to be disappointed by that. And we see the statement from Kawaki that he won't release Naruto until he's dealt with both Boruto and Code. Now this is interesting because before he specifically said that he's going to release Naruto and Hinata once he's killed Boruto and Boruto alone. He didn't say anything about Code, so Kawaki is already kind of starting to shift the goalposts. So now it's until he's dealt with Boruto and Code, but how long until he starts to move it again to being, oh well, now I need to get rid of this person, or now I need to get rid of this person, or now I need to get rid of this person, because Kawaki believes that as long as there are threats to Naruto that are out there, he needs to protect him, even if it means taking away Naruto's own free will, even if it means making the world think that Boruto killed his own father. Like, there are no lines that Kawaki will not cross if it means protecting Naruto. That's again how far gone he actually is. And then we see Sasuke meet up with Sarada, and she's trying to convey to him that Mitsuki is acting weird, saying that he's going to kill Boruto. And then we get confirmation that Sasuke is indeed affected by Eida's Shinjutsu. So for anyone out there who was hoping that Sasuke was going to be immune from this ability and it was going to be him and Boruto against the world, we do sort of get that, but not because Sasuke was immune to this ability. So we still have no idea why Sarada and Sumire are immune to this ability. A lot of people were theorizing that maybe it's because Sarada is an Uchiha, and we know Uchihas are descended from Otsutsuki, that maybe them having Otsutsuki DNA in them would be enough to essentially make them immune to this ability, but it turns out that's not the case. So we still don't know why Sarada and Sumire are immune, and I really hope that it's not because they're in love with Boruto or something. I really hope that that's not the case, because honestly it would be pretty lame if that's what ends up being the reason as to why Sarada and Sumire are immune. I really hope there's another reason as to why that's the case, but we'll get to that when we get to that. And Sasuke basically tells her that, yeah, I mean, it's normal for Mitsuki to want to kill Boruto after what he did with Naruto, which again confirms to Sarada that Sasuke is also acting like everyone else and that he is indeed affected by Eida's Shinjutsu. That's when she gets contacted by Sumire, and Sumire tells her what she managed to figure out, that what's happening right now is Eida's fault, and that's probably why both of them are immune to what's happening, kind of like how they were immune to Eida's enchantment ability. And then we get to see Boruto basically going up against Team 10. We see him going up against Inashikacho, and we see this moment between Boruto and Shikadai where Shikadai is basically tearing into Boruto, obviously thinking because he's Kawaki, because Boruto is Kawaki in this new reality, as we find out later on about this ability, Omnipotence, but we'll get to that in a second. So Shikadai is just railing into Boruto, asking him, why did you do this? Did you not think about how the rest of us would feel? Did you not think about all the people who care about Naruto? Did you not care about Naruto himself, who took you in, and you decided to do this to him? And essentially, yeah, he's supposed to be saying this to Kawaki, but again, because of Eida's ability, Omnipotence, now Boruto is getting the brunt of it. And then we get to see the moment from when Boruto was looking into the future that Momoshiki saw back in chapter 78, if I remember correctly, or I think it was chapter 76, where we see Shikadai saying that's just not what a friend does. We get to see that here in this chapter. While this is happening, we cut back to Sasuke and Sarada, and we see Sarada pleading to Sasuke after she was informed by Sumire that her theory is that Eida has something to do with this. Like I said before, because Sumire and Sarada were not affected, she knows that Eida has something to do with it, or at least that's her theory for now, as to why her and Sarada are the only ones who are not going after Boruto, who are the only ones who remember that Kawaki is the one who actually did something to Naruto, not Boruto. And while this is happening, again, we cut back to Boruto facing off against Team 10, and we see Momoshiki trying to convince him to let him take over his body and to kill every single one of them, specifically Team 10. And this moment really is similar to some of the moments that we saw with Naruto, where Kurama was whispering in his ear, telling him to essentially let him take over and I'll take down all of your enemies. So right now, Boruto is going through exactly what Naruto was going through when he was dealing with Kurama. And this is interesting because it leads to something that is shown to us later on in the chapter. We'll get to that in a second. And we cut back again to Sasuke and Sarada is just pleading. She's crying with Sasuke, trying to convince him that everyone is being lied to, nobody is being told the truth about what's happening, and she's saying to him that this is the one and only selfish favor I'll ever ask, mirroring a little bit what Sakura did with Naruto, which I thought again is very interesting, that Naruto, just like how Boruto right now is experiencing something that Naruto went through, now Sasuke is experiencing something that Naruto went through back near the end of part 1 during the Sasuke retrieval arc. And this is where we get the big moment that a lot of people were talking about, the awakening of Sarada's Mangekyo Sharingan and the pattern of her Mangekyo Sharingan looking like the sun, and how it's basically the same design that Kishimoto drew for Sarada's Mangekyo Sharingan all those years ago. I'm actually surprised he kept it. I really thought he would have updated it, but I guess he just decided to use the one that he already came up with. And I got to admit, I am a little bit disappointed because I was kind of hoping to maybe see a little bit of what Sasuke thinks now that Sarada has the Mangekyo Sharingan, and especially since he's about to leave the village, we know that he's not going to be there to teach her about how to use it, to train her how to use it properly, because he knows what happens when people get carried away using the Mangekyo Sharingan, because that's kind of what happened to him. He just kept using it, and it ended up costing him his eyesight. So someone else will have to be the one to teach Sarada how to properly use her Mangekyo, and I think that's probably where Kakashi is going to come into the story, because he's the only one in the village other than Sasuke who knows what it's like to have to deal with the Mangekyo Sharingan, and specifically the strain that comes with using the Mangekyo, because Kakashi obviously awakened it with Obito when they were kids, when they saw Rin die, specifically Kakashi when she jumped in front of his lightning blade that he was aiming at one of the mist cloud ninjas. When that happens, we cut back again to Boruto, and this time Momoshiki is close to convincing Boruto to just go to sleep and just let Momoshiki take over, and that's when we immediately see Sasuke pick him up and they just get the hell out of there. And we see Sasuke reminiscing about meeting Boruto for the first time, taking him on as a student, mastering the Rasengan, and then fighting with him and Naruto to defeat Momoshiki. And he says that that's what happened according to his mind. At least according to his mind, it was Kawaki who was there and not Boruto. And when this is happening, Eida is looking at it, she's seeing it with her Senrigan, and she leaves, and we see this look on Kawaki's face where he knows that she's going to meet Boruto, but there's nothing he can do to stop her because Daemon is there, and he knows, as arrogant as Kawaki is, he knows that there's nothing he can do against Daemon, so he just stood there and didn't really do anything. And we see Sasuke and Boruto stopping to get some rest. We see Boruto asking Sasuke why he's helping him when he's supposed to be Konoha's enemy. And we see Sasuke mentioning the headband that Boruto has right now and how he remembers specifically giving it to Kawaki, so why does Boruto have it? And he even calls out Momoshiki, telling him that I know you're there and you should be sealed inside Kawaki, and instead you're in Boruto. And so both of those things are making him question his own mind. And he even goes on to mention that he can feel that both of those things are starting to bother him less and less, even though technically they should be making him question these things, that it should be making him question that something's not right. And I found this line to be very interesting, because if this is really the case, if what Sasuke says is true, that it's starting to bother him less and less, these questions, then we might get to a point where Sasuke just doesn't care anymore and might still try to act on his memories, even though he was able to figure out that something's wrong, something's not right here, and that he can't trust his own mind. And he says that he never really thought about it, but he says that, you know, even if he can't trust his own mind, he still trusts his own daughter, and his daughter made him promise, his daughter begged him to protect Boruto, and his daughter is telling him these things, so he's choosing to actually trust her. And then Momoshiki gets pissed off, saying that this doesn't make any sense because he should be seeing Boruto as an enemy. And keep in mind, this is Momoshiki, who has knowledge, according to him, of all Shinjutsu. He knows how strong this ability is, so the fact that someone is even able to resist it at all, someone who isn't immune, I think is starting to get to him a little bit, because we know that Momoshiki, like a lot of the Otsutsuki, believe that they are all powerful, and if Otsutsuki are the only ones who can properly utilize Shinjutsu, other than people who have been grafted with Otsutsuki DNA, and even then, they can't really properly control it. Some of them they can control no problem, like with Daemon's reflection ability, Eida's Senrigan, Code's claw marks, but apparently there are some abilities where even if you have Otsutsuki DNA, you can't properly control them because you're not 100% Otsutsuki, unlike Boruto. And then we get this bit of information from Momoshiki that apparently Omnipotence, because it was used, now it is reality. So it's not a case where people in their minds just perceive that this is what happened. No, according to them, that's the new reality. It's not going to change, even if, according to him, if you kill Eida, it's not going to change it. So killing Eida is not going to reverse the Shinjutsu. Apparently, what might be necessary to reverse it is to just have Eida use Shinjutsu again to return it back to normal, or to have her use Omnipotence again to return it back to how it was. But remember, Eida has no control over that ability. She had no control over it when she made people her prisoner by making them fall for her if they are even close to her, and she had no control over it when she made this switch with Boruto and Kawaki. So this is interesting, very interesting. And Boruto is basically just telling him to get lost because he's not listening. And we see Momoshiki go completely unhinged, telling him that he needs to just give up and hand over his body, but Boruto just ain't having any of it. He's just telling him to get lost, and he's telling him that it doesn't matter what you say, I'm not going to give you my body. And Momoshiki comments on, you know, Boruto having much stronger mental resolve than he originally thought. And we see Eida show up in front of Boruto. Again, we knew that she was on her way there when she saw Boruto leaving with Sasuke through her Senrigan, and she actually apologizes to him for what's going on right now. And we see Sasuke, and I think, yeah, this is the first time Sasuke ever actually met Eida and Daemon, and we see him sweating a little bit because I think Sasuke knows how strong these two actually are, specifically Daemon, because remember, Sasuke is a good judge of how strong someone else actually is. He's the one who did say in, I think it was the Boruto movie novel, that these are the two that Kaguya was afraid of, and these two are far stronger than her. And I know there are a lot of people out there who are probably still under the belief that Momoshiki was not stronger than Kaguya. No, it's pretty much confirmed that Momoshiki is stronger than Kaguya. And Eida asks Boruto whether he knows what happened, and he says, yeah, I do know what happened. And she says that her reason was just she wanted to help Kawaki. She never had any intention for actually any of this happening. And Boruto goes on to tell her that this ability is the reason why everyone is basically her prisoner, why she can never have someone genuinely love her, with the exception of a few people. It's because of omnipotence. And she asks Boruto why he's so calm despite everything that happened. And he says, I'm not calm. I'm, of course, affected by everything that happened. But right now, I can't stop thinking about Kawaki. Basically, right now, Kawaki is being genuinely understood by Boruto. Boruto's saying that this, what he's feeling right now, this insecurity, the loneliness, Kawaki has had to live with this his entire life, ever since he was a kid. And he acknowledges that he really did have everything growing up, and he never really acknowledged it. And him saying that he understood, or acting like he actually understood what Kawaki was going through, probably just pissed Boruto off. Probably just pissed Kawaki off even more. And I really like that while Boruto is having this conversation, that Sasuke's there to listen to it, because he should remember him basically saying to Naruto that, you know, Naruto couldn't really understand during their fight at the end of part 1. Naruto couldn't really understand what Sasuke was going through, that the pain that he was feeling at the moment was something that Naruto couldn't understand, because he never had a family. He never had a family that he loved, that he cared for more than anything, be taken away from him by someone that he considered to be everything. Like, someone that he looked up to more than anyone is the one responsible for taking everything from him. And it just made Sasuke even more angry, and it just made him want to push away from Naruto and Sakura and everyone else even more. And this is something that I think a lot of people missed about Sasuke, saying that, oh, he's just emo or whatever, or, you know, why doesn't he just talk to Naruto or Sakura? Surely they can at least try to understand. But the truth is, no, they don't understand, because neither of them went through what he went through. That's why he felt like he was alone, because no one really understood what happened to him. It wasn't until we got into Shippuden, when Naruto experienced losing Jiraiya, that he had at least some idea of what Sasuke was actually going through, the pain that he was going through. And while this is happening, Sasuke brings up Naruto, bringing up how Naruto also started with nothing, just like how Boruto actually is, how he was rejected by pretty much everyone, but he worked hard, he busted his ass, he became the Hokage through his own actions. And he says that if you really are Naruto's son, then you should be able to do what he did. And then Momoshiki is listening to all of this, and he's just not having any of it. He's saying that, no, this is not good. If you keep saying things like this, you're going to make him even more resistant to Momoshiki. You're going to give him even more confidence than before. And I can't help but feel like this could possibly lead to Sasuke's death, because there are some death flags that are being shown to us by Sasuke saying things like, I will risk my life to protect you because that's what my daughter asked me to do. And we even have Momoshiki here acknowledging that Sasuke saying these things to Boruto is making Boruto a lot mentally stronger than he was before. So I can't help but feel like Momoshiki feels like, okay, when I destroyed this dude's Rinnegan, I should have just gone for the kill. I should have just killed this dude, because if I did, then he wouldn't be here helping Boruto as he is right now. And I can't help but feel like maybe when the next time Momoshiki manages to take over Boruto's body, he is going to try to kill Sasuke, and maybe that is going to be how Sasuke's cloak and how his sword ends up being in Boruto's hands. And we'll see. We'll have to wait and see. If they do kill off Sasuke, I hope it's at least not going to be during the time skip. I really hope that at the very least they show us it, because it would be really insulting if this character dies off screen. And I guarantee you a lot of people are not going to be happy about that. I don't think they will. I don't think they're going to kill off Sasuke. Me personally, I don't think they're going to kill him off at all. I think that it's just not something that they're willing to do. I mean, Kishimoto did have a chance to kill off Naruto after using Baryon mode, but he didn't do it. Instead, he had Kurama die, and I just don't think that that's going to happen. Again, those are just my thoughts. I could be wrong, but we'll see. And then Boruto basically tells Momoshiki that he never once considered that he lost everything, because he still has his dad's blood. He has his mom's blood, who is, of course, the princess of the Hyuga clan, and of course, he has the blood of his grandfather, the fourth Hokage, and he is still a shinobi, of course, calling back to the moment that we saw in chapter 1 during the flash forward where Boruto says, "I am still a shinobi." And he also acknowledges that he was probably the one who drove Kawaki to where he is right now, and making him feel like he had to resolve this situation on his own. So much so that he was even willing to risk being hated by everyone, by killing his own brother, even by the person that he looked up to the most. And he acknowledges that it was probably due to his own weakness, and he can't let this go on any longer. He has to get stronger, and he has to put an end to this battle between siblings, which again is calling back to what Naruto said near the end of part 2, where he was about to go into his final battle with Sasuke, saying that I'm going to put an end to this whole sibling rivalry, this sibling battle that's been going on for decades. And we see this really cool panel where Boruto, when he's saying this, he says that that's what my father would do, and we actually see Naruto standing next to him. I know that when this does get animated, you're going to see a lot of people really happy about this, with the voice acting, the music in the background, and the animation. It's going to get a lot of people really excited if they actually do it right. And then Eida says that, I know that this isn't going to make up for what I did, but I promise not to look for either of you. Basically, she's not going to use her Senrigan to look for Boruto or Sasuke, no matter how much Shikamaru or Kawaki keep asking her to. That's just her way of trying to apologize for what ended up happening. And she even calls out Kawaki for saying that, you know, what he did was kind of cowardly right now, and it kind of makes me sick. So I guess this is her way of also punishing Kawaki for what he did right here. And then once that happens, he asks her to let Sarada know that he's okay, and to tell her thanks for essentially getting her dad to help him out and, you know, make sure he's not on his own during all of this. And when this happens, we see Daemon telling Boruto not to come back until you have enough strength to fight me at full strength for the first time in my life. Now, this is interesting because I remember talking about this during one of my live streams. If you were there, you know what I'm talking about. But I said that at some point in the series, we are going to see Daemon go full force in this series, and it's probably not going to go the way Daemon thinks that it's going to go, because he's never really gone up against someone who was actually able to not just give him a good fight, but to essentially completely overpower him, even with all of his hacks abilities. And then Boruto says that, nah, I don't think that's ever going to happen, which I don't know. I mean, it's weird because I feel like this is sort of Kishimoto telling us that, yeah, Boruto is going to get strong, but he's probably not going to get strong to the point where he is on the level of, let's say, Ishikki or Baryon mode Naruto. I just found it interesting that he had, you know, Boruto actually say this. And then Sasuke says, okay, we need to go. Even without the Senrigan, Konoha is not going to stop looking for us. And we see Sasuke once again saying that he's not doing this because he believes anything Boruto's saying, because again, the Shinjutsu is still making him believe what his own mind is telling him. And he's saying that I'm only doing this for Sarada, I'm doing this for my daughter. And then we get these moments where it really does feel like the ending of an arc, and not just the ending of an arc, but the ending of this part of the story, the end of Boruto Part 1, which, if you don't know, yes, this is officially the ending of Part 1, and it's also when the manga is going to go on a hiatus, because if you didn't see the announcement, Boruto is going to go on a 3-month hiatus, and we aren't going to get a new chapter until September of this year. So for the next few months, we're not going to have any Boruto manga content. But what I am going to use those 3 months to do is to catch up on a lot of the videos that I kind of promised that I was going to do. So hopefully with the manga being on hiatus, I'll be able to use that time to catch up, because I had a lot of videos that I planned on making, but I never had the time to do. So like I said, we get these moments where Code, we see him in the Ten Tails dimension saying something like, I am going to, once again reaffirming that he is indeed going to kill Boruto and Kawaki and everyone else as payback for basically taking away what he cared about the most. And we actually see Kawaki with new clothes, and I haven't seen anyone mention this lately. Code has a brand new outfit, and I don't know if he's actually managed to get stronger, but he's gonna have to, if it's gonna be years until we see him go up against Boruto and Kawaki. And we know that they're only going to get stronger. And then we see Kawaki once again promising that no matter where you hide, I will kill you as long as you're a Otsutsuki, because of course his ultimate goal is to eradicate the entire Otsutsuki clan. And then we see this very last moment, the very last page is Boruto saying that no matter what, I am going to convince everyone who I am, that I am Boruto Uzumaki. And that's where the chapter ends, and that is where Boruto Part 1 officially comes to an end. Next chapter is the beginning of the time skip. Guys, let me know your thoughts in the comments section down below. Did you like this chapter? Did you think it was a good ending to the first part of Boruto? Are you excited for the time skip? Let me know all your thoughts in the comment section down below. And while you're here, please consider leaving a like, share this video out there, hit the subscribe button if you haven't, ring the bell for notifications, and I hope I'll see you guys for Boruto chapter 81 in September. Bye for now.